Now, here we are. We're making these steps and these progressions. Yes, there must be some cause of the universe. Yes, there does seem to be a designer. Yes, this designer must be personal. And yes, I'm looking at the history and the life of Jesus, and it does seem to be plausible what the Bible is saying. But what about evil and suffering in this world? How can I believe in a good, all-loving God who allows such tremendous suffering on a daily basis? Well, this problem goes back before the time of Jesus, actually. The first one to really articulate this problem was a Greek philosopher who lived 300, 400 years before the life of Jesus, and his name was Epicurus. And Epicurus was the father of what is called hedonism, basically living to, the greatest good is to seek the greatest amount of pleasure in life. Although Epicurus spoke about the gods, most people who study his writings believe that he didn't believe in the gods. He didn't believe in the Greek gods at all. But it was a social normal thing for people just to talk about the gods at that time. But Epicurus was the first one to frame the whole problem of evil in a way which was an argument against God. And basically he asked the question, he said, if God is all loving, and God is all good, and God is all powerful, why is there evil in this world? And what he meant by that, as he began to flesh that out, he said, if God was all good, and all loving, and all powerful, he would put an end to evil in this world. If he was all good, he would hate evil. Right? If he was all loving, he would see the suffering that we humans experience on a daily basis, and he would have compassion on that. And if he was all powerful, he would have the power to put an end to it. So being that there is evil in this world, in his own words, he said, is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he's not all powerful. Is he able but not willing? Well then, if that's true, then he's not really all good. Is he both able and willing? Then why is there evil? Is he neither able or willing? Can he stop it? Or is he not willing to stop it? And if that's true, then why would we ever call this being God? And that was his argument. And that was a very powerful argument at the time. And it seems that any way you go with this, you are in what philosophers call a dilemma. This is what they call the horns of a dilemma, because any way that you go in this, you seem to find yourself impaled upon those horns. If you go and say, well, yeah, God's all loving, and he doesn't like evil, but, he doesn't have the power to stop it. He wants to. He's trying to, but he can't. Well, that doesn't seem to be a good description of an all-powerful God. On the other hand, if you're going to say, yeah, God has the power to stop evil, he can stop at any time, and that kind of puts you into the predicament, well then why is he allowing it to continue to go on? Is he really not all-loving? And so this is kind of framed out in such a way where either way you go with it, you find yourself in this dilemma. Now the interesting thing is, I don't think that this is a very strong argument. Actually, as many people have come to realize since then, although many people still bring this up, and you might even hear this, in a couple of weeks as Matt and I have our debate. But I don't think it's a very good argument because it's a false dilemma. And the reason why that is because there really is another alternative. You don't have to choose an either or in these different descriptions. And the other alternative is, what if God for the time being was allowing evil in this world in order to accomplish a greater good? What if he didn't like evil and he had the power to stop evil, but allowing evil was accomplishing a greater good? Now, that's a plausible explanation. Is it biblical? Well, I think so. I think time and time again we look into the pages of the Bible and we see these instances and these stories where God allows evil. And I don't want to even say that God allows evil in some kind of hands-off passive way. I want to say that God, in some way, grafts the evil actions of men and demons into His plan in order to accomplish a greater good that without that evil would not have been possible. Just